and the PC and YouTube and devices and all that sort of thing. So a couple of seconds, and as soon as it starts showing up on my screen, I know it's all working. Okay. Oh, 2 adverts. There we go. It's all working. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Brooks's Base Corner, live chat number 36. We've done 36 of these. They're all on the YouTube channel. I can prove they're all there. Hope you're all safe and well out there. Thank you for attending this evening's live chat. It's been 2 weeks since live chat number 35. Thank you for bearing with me for a couple of weeks. It's been hard times here at Brooks Towers. We had to say goodbye to our dog. Trying to work out how many days. 11 days ago. So on the last live chat that we did, you'll know I mentioned that little Max had been ill, and he'd come back from hospital on that day, on Tuesday. And we spent the rest of that week getting him better, and all the things were looking good. And on the Tuesday night when I last saw you guys on the live chat, it looked like things were going to be positive. We had him home, we had all the medication. It was a case of getting the medication into him over time, and then we would carry on with life. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out the way we'd hoped. Max didn't improve for a couple of days, although he was okay, but we didn't see a massive improvement from the medication. So the live chat was Tuesday. Thursday night, I wasn't convinced that we were seeing enough progress, but I was willing to go with it. Went to see the vet on the Friday. He informed us that there were no other possibilities. The medication he was on was the best there was to deal with acute bronchitis, which is what he had. Thankfully, he didn't have cancer, didn't have heart problems, had no fluid in his lungs, but he did have acute bronchitis. And Max came to us at the age of 10. After our last dog passed away, we took Max on after his previous owners had let him down, and he'd always had the cough, and we kind of managed it as best we could. And it was very seasonal, so when it was warm and sunny, it wasn't too bad. But during the winter, when it was cold and wet, it got a little worse. And this winter, it got quite worse. He'd had some medication earlier in January, didn't solve it. And I was hoping we would get him through the spring and summer, things would improve. But he was 13 years and 8 months. So on the Friday, the vet told us, he said, look, there is nothing else, but the meds can take 5, 6, 7 days to kick in and show progress. He gave us some inhalers and various things to try and get Max through the weekend. Friday didn't eat much. Friday night, I observed him for a couple of hours, and at one point he had no congestion. He was breathing fine. But he didn't have a good night on the Friday. Saturday, he was not very well in the morning. I took him to the vet, saw a different vet at our vets, and she gave him some jabs to try and get him through the day, help with his nausea, help with his digestion. But she said, I think you might need to start planning for the end. Because if this medication and what have you doesn't start to show some positive signs, then we're not going to get out of this. And his gums had started to change colour a bit. So on the Saturday, we let him sleep, do his own thing. Typically, I hadn't had a gig for 3 weeks at that point, and I had a gig that night with Uncle Funk's Disco Inferno, which was about an hour and a half, hour and 3/4 drive away from home. I left here at just around 3 o'clock, spoke to Max. I said, don't you go anywhere. I'll be home in a couple of hours. We'll get you through this week. Hopefully by this time next week, things will be on the mend. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. And Max kind of went downhill from that point. He didn't eat very much, and if he didn't eat, then the meds got nothing to work on, and if the meds aren't working, then you don't want to eat, and it's a vicious cycle. And I stayed in touch with my partner while I was on my gig, and I'd hoped I was going to get home and we would, you know, from the Sunday onwards, we'd have a good week, a good 7 days to really sort of try and get this all in control. And unfortunately, he started to have difficulties breathing, and I was given the option by the band to come home, but by the time I'd found out that he was on his way to the hospital with my partner, we were already in the first set. By the time we finished the set, he had passed away. So I've had dad guilt for about a week, because I wasn't here to say goodbye as he passed over. So it's been a tough couple of weeks. So thank you for bearing with the channel. Thank you for bearing with me. It's been really kind of difficult, but I couldn't, to be brutally honest, I could not focus on YouTube, social media, or anything since Max passed 11 days ago. And I kind of need to take some time for me. So rather than burn myself out, trying to keep the channel going and wheels moving, I just decided to have a bit of a blanket space and do nothing for a week and a bit. So anyway, now we start again. Max, wherever you are, Dad loved you, all right? He came home today. We collected his ashes. So he's now here with us and with his brother, who he never got to meet. So both of our dogs, we've got their ashes in our lounge. So they're both home. But time moves on. So welcome to live chat number 36. Hope you're all safe and well wherever you are in the world. Whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, you're very welcome here on Brooks's Bass Corner. Live chat 36. I think we may have some new attendees tonight. So I will try and give you a general overview of how this works. So Paolo, if you're out there watching and you're live, cool. Texas Iguana, I can see you there. Fanfret Steve, evening. Stacy, evening. Afternoon for you lovely US people. So if you've never attended a live chat before, whether on my channel or any other YouTube channel, this is the way it works. So basically I'm here, we're talking bass guitars, we're talking basses, bass amps, bass speakers, bass effects, bass accessories, great bass players, bands that had great bass players and have great albums, great bass lines, anything to do with bass guitars, that's what we're here for. It's a two-way street. So if you don't use the live chat window, which I'll come back to shortly, if you don't use that to put in questions, comments, whatever we want to talk about, you're just going to end up listening to me for an hour or so. But if you do have any questions about anything to do with bass, anything music related, there's a topic I do want to talk about, and I'll get to it shortly, but I'll come back to that. So the way this works, there's a live chat window. If you're on the mobile app on your phone, it's directly below this video window. If you're on the desktop version, it's that way. So basically, it's a big white box or black box, depending whether you're using the light or dark visuals for YouTube on your phone or your PC. And you can put comments or questions where it says, say something, or at least that's what it says on my window. So put them in there. As soon as I see them fly up, I will respond to you. There are two icons, or there's a couple of icons actually in the live chat window. There's an emoji icon. So guys, feel free to use emojis, contribute to the chat in whatever way you wish using emojis. It's all good. Knock yourselves out. The more the merrier. There's also a dollar symbol. That's called Super Chat. So for anyone uninitiated in the joys of Super Chat, that is basically a facility within a live chat for you to make a financial contribution to the channel. So what am I talking about, financial contributions? So basically to keep the channel moving, to buy products for review, and I've got some little treats here to share with you shortly, for me to buy studio time or equipment or tripods for cameras and boom stands and microphones and lighting, and all of that stuff has to be paid for. In order to do that, obviously I need funds. I use my own funds, clearly. But if you wish to contribute to the channel and to keep it moving, keep the wheels moving, feel free. So you can do that via the dollar symbol in the live chat window. There's also a facility on every video here on Brooks's Space Corner because we're a monetized channel. So underneath the video, you'll see a thumbs up icon, a thumbs down icon. There's a share arrow. There's a save button, which allows you to save the video you're watching to various playlists, or if you want to watch it at a later date. You'll then also see a love heart with a dollar symbol in. That's called Super Thanks. Works in exactly the same way as Super Chat. So if you're enjoying a particular video that you're watching, or you're enjoying the content that a content creator puts up on their channel, you can say thank you to them, click on the Super Thanks button and donate financially to the channel. You don't have to, the videos are free, but if you like what a certain creator creates, whether it's on my channel or anyone else's, that's how Super Thanks works. Now, there is also a number of other means that you can help the channel, directly and indirectly. So the merchandise that I keep talking about, I was actually creating that the night that Max fell ill. Stacey will back me up on this because she's been helping me with the graphic designs. So all the designs I want to include on my merchandise are ready to go. I've got the store supplier ready. Everything is pretty much primed. All I've got to do is confirm the designs, the garments, the it's not just garments, it's t-shirts, hoodies, caps like this, mouse mats, drinks bottles, all of that. I just need to go in, confirm it, and then upload it. That will be happening probably tomorrow or Thursday. I need to get new content up and out very quickly. So next couple of days, if you're following what I do here on the channel, you're going to see a real flurry of new content going up. So there's going to be some shorts, some long form video. There'll be more live chats planned in. The merchandise shop front will go up. You'll be able to see that below every video here on the channel. So if you want to buy merchandise with my branding on, you'll be able to do so. There's also in every video here on the channel, and there will be on this video from tomorrow when it's uploaded and streamed to YouTube, there are affiliate links for online retailers that I'm an affiliate for. So the way that works is if you click on the link in the description box, and I will make sure they're in the description box of this video as well, for those watching the video after the event. So there are affiliate links for Thomann and Amazon across the world. If you click on those links, it takes you through to the Brooks's Space Corner storefront. From there, you can click on any of the products that I've listed in my store. If that then goes through to your basket, you then confirm the transaction, it gets delivered to you, and you don't return the product. The channel receives an affiliate commission. All of these things go into the big melting pot that will help to keep this channel going, hopefully for the next 20-25 years if I have my way. So via Super Chat, Super Thanks, affiliate links, merchandise, all of those things help to keep the channel going. So thank you to all those who have contributed over recent weeks and months with Super Chats, Super Thanks, liking videos, commenting on videos, attending the live chats. It all helps. Thank you. I am very appreciative of all of, well, not necessarily your efforts, but your interaction with the channel. It helps to keep the algorithm happy, and everything here on the channel has got green arrows pointing upwards. So it's all moving in a positive direction. So thank you very much. So, treats. I'm sure that got a few ears perked up earlier. So I was talking on the last live chat, it might have been the one before it, but I think it was the last one, about I was looking at certain pedals, and we got into a discussion amongst various people here on the live chat about Source Audio pedals. Lewis Wingrove, I don't think has appeared yet, but I'm sure he's out there, or he will appear. We were talking about the C4 synth pedal, and I think we may have even talked about the Spectrum filter pedal from Source Audio. Well, I now have them. We've got both of them. I purchased them. They didn't come for free. I didn't get in touch with the company. I've bought them to do my own videos, and also because I want to use them on my own pedal board. So just to give you a quick look, there are numerous videos here on YouTube. So if you want to check these videos out before I get my review and demo videos up, feel free. These pedals are quite fantastic. So this is the Spectrum filter pedal. I think both of these have been out for some time, a couple of years probably. But I'd never investigated them. Well, now I am. So there's the filter pedal, ready to go. Both of these pedals have tailorable technology. So using your phone and an app, or you can do it via a desktop or a laptop or what have you, you can actually get into the software for both of these pedals that allows you to go in and totally customize the settings and the parameters. So, you know, on this pedal there's 4 controls and a toggle switch, three-way toggle switch. I think there's a facility that when you do something on it, it then has almost like a function key facility. So there are extra options, but you can do a load of tailoring by not connecting, but by accessing the technology in this pedal via a phone or a laptop or a desktop. So having had a quick look at that, there's a whole load of fun and games to come our way. So keep your eyes peeled. These videos will be up as soon as I can film them, edit them, and get them up on the channel. These pedals are seriously good. And the audio, well, the way they affect your bass signal is off the charts. Possibly the best bass synth and filter pedals out there. Possibly. I will do some A/B tests and some A/B videos between these and other pedals. So that's not to say other filter pedals aren't great and other bass synth pedals aren't great, but these do come in somewhere around the top of the market as far as I can make out. So we've got the C4 synth and the Spectrum filter pedal. So like I say, keep an eye on the channel. These are going to be appearing very soon. I can't wait to get to grips with them and get them out actually on gigs, especially the filter pedal, which I can make very good use of in Uncle Funk's Disco Inferno, of course. So there's those 2 pedals. The topic of discussion, which I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we can discuss this. We can talk about basses and gear, and as we normally do. So, you know, again, you got any comments, any questions, stick them in the live chat window and I'll respond to them as soon as I see them. So the other night I was on a gig and various members of the band were talking about careers and working as a musician, building a career as a musician. The people that were involved in this chat were widely different in their ages, and yet they were saying the same thing pretty much. And what was coming out was how social media, YouTube videos, Reels, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of these platforms are an open invitation for people to show off their musical skills, their chops, their playing, and what have you. But on the flip side of giving people an open window to show off and to demonstrate how proficient they are as musicians, it can also have the completely opposite effect on other people watching that content. Now, I've heard these arguments many times, and it's very easy to say, well, if watching that stuff makes you unhappy, don't watch it. It's very difficult in the current day, in the current climate, to just remove yourself from social media and all of these social media platforms and YouTube and video platforms and what have you, because it's everywhere. And as a musician, you kind of have to use all of these platforms and tools to extend your career, to find work, to interact with other musicians. But for a lot of people, it can be a real, I don't want to say depression because that's not necessarily the case, but it can put a lot of people off from progressing. They feel like they're not of a high enough caliber, that they can never get to those sort of levels. Now, in years gone by, decades gone by, when I was a kid, you always had musicians that you would aspire to be as good as, or you'd like to learn their techniques to move your progression forward. But I think it's got to the saturation point now that, and one of the guys is in his mid-20s and one of the guys is late 40s. And both of them had the same perspective, that there were people much younger than both of them who could play their instruments to such a high level and a high degree. It was actually quite depressing to think, well, I'm never going to be as good as that, or I'm never going to get to that level. Now, there are those people who are naturally just hyper talented. There are many examples. Prince would be a perfect example. How could you even begin to, it's not a case of competing, but it's, how do you even get to that level? And there are just people who are musically super talented. They haven't got to necessarily put in a lot of work and effort. They're just gifted in that way. So when you see these people, it can be quite daunting and I guess a little demoralizing to think, well, I'm never going to be as good as that, or I'm never going to get to that level. And I was listening to this conversation. I flipped it around. I said, well, okay, so those people are doing great things and you think you can't attain that level. But here you are working. You're actually using your skills that you've developed and you've learned and you've progressed with, and you're actually earning money from that. Now, there are great people and great players out there all over the world, yet some of them will never set foot on a stage. They will never entertain people other than maybe on a phone or a camera, here on YouTube or social media. They may never take their skill outside of their bedroom or their house where they live. They may never share that with the world, or it may only be on a digital platform. I said, so it's not a case of you can't be as good as that, but if you do have the skills to play your instrument to a certain level, sharing it with the world, or wanting to entertain people, or to give something back to other people, surely that's as relevant a situation, or as relevant a skill as being the best at guitar, or the best at keys, or the best at bass, or the best at drums. It's not a competition, yet a lot of people now see it to be that way, because social media and platforms have given people an access point to share what they do with the world. So I said to both of these guys, I said, yeah, but guys, this is your living. You're making a living, hopefully doing something you love. Lots of people love playing, but they could never make a living out of it. And then it also, we brought in the situation that you can be the greatest player, but you can be a real pain in the backside to be around, not be a particularly nice person to work with, not be a team player, and those sort of elements can count against people. You could be the greatest player and go for an audition, and I've heard this story many times from famous people I've interviewed, where they may have interviewed or auditioned people to join their band or to be on an album or what have you, and they'll say, we had so many good names come through the door for that position, but they were just horrible people. We just didn't want them in the band. They would totally upset the equilibrium of the band and the situation. So instead we chose this person who from the outset may look, or from the outside may not look as accomplished as some of these people that came through the door, but they're far nicer people to be around, far nicer people to work with. You want them on the team. If you were in the trenches, you'd want them on your team. So there's that. So what I was trying to get these two people away from was, don't focus on the fact that you're not as good as someone else. Be you. And if part of being you is being a great team player and working for the band and working for the team and, you know, doing the very best you can to make things good, that's as valuable as being able to play 1,000,000 notes a second. In fact, more so. But anyway, I thought I'd throw that out there. See what you guys think. You know, stick something in the live chat window in the comments, and tell me what you think. I can see I haven't clicked that. Let's see if anything else has popped up. Nope, I think we've got all the messages in at the moment. So here we are, live chat number 36 here on Brooks's Bass Corner. Hope you're all safe and well. What have we got coming up on the channel? Okay, tomorrow, the next episode of the Bass String Experiments, so gig number 14, which was meant to appear 2 weeks ago, but as I explained, we've had a bit of a sad time here at Brooks Towers. So there'll be that going up. I would imagine that'll be up tomorrow afternoon, around about 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock, which is when I generally put videos up. There'll be some shorts, some YouTube shorts, which now has the monetization aspect as well. So that's great for us creators. And then the shorts will carry on over the coming weeks and months. So there's the 3 Great Things series. There will be some pedal videos. There will be some bass videos. There'll be some Brooks's tips going up in short form content as well. Long form content, so we'll move along with the Bass String Experiment series. So as I mentioned on the last live chat, after the next video, which is gig number 14, I'm then going to truncate gigs 15 to 19. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 will be in one video. 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 will be in their own video. Currently, we're up to gig number 30. So the Status Empathy has done 30 gigs with the same set of rotor sound strings on. They're still going, folks. And they'll be out again, not this weekend, because it's a Queen tribute gig this weekend. Precision's all the way. The Status will be back out on the 3rd of March for gig number 31. There's a whole string of gigs through March that bass will be used on. So we're getting into the mid-30s, towards the mid-30s for those strings. It's going to be interesting to see how far we get. Then there's also a whole glut of bass demos, bass reviews, pedal demos, and pedal reviews. There's a couple of interviews which were delayed from before Christmas because the interviewees were, well, they said they were going to be available and then they became unavailable because of workload. So I'm now trying to get them lined up for the next couple of weeks. So hopefully that will happen. And then there's also the next, what I'm calling feature videos. So the last feature video was the bass collection video that went up 4 weeks ago. My next feature video, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I've lost track of the weeks here. I know it went up on the 17th of January. So 3, 4, might be 5 weeks. Oh my goodness, the year's flying by. So the next feature video will be how to buy a bass guitar in 2023. The way you go about buying a bass now is radically different to when I started in 1987. So we're going to look at all the different options you have as a bass player, whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, a semi-pro, or a working pro. All the different options you've got to find the bass that you might be looking for, sorry, put the teeth in. But also what you need to look out for when you're buying a bass. And the amount of bass players I speak to who have bought many basses in their life, but they still seem to buy basses either that they don't want or they buy and then find there's a problem or something about it that they don't like and they shift it on really quick. I don't get that. Unless you're going to make a huge amount of money buying it cheap and then selling it, I don't know why some bass players spend a couple of £1,000s on a bass. Within a month, it's straight back out the door. So clearly there's something going on there. not something that's ever applied to me. I'll go and check something out before I lay the money down. But it seems like an odd way of buying a bass. So I thought we could do a really good video on that. So hopefully I've got all the footage I need. I've just got to script it out and edit it up. So hopefully that will be appearing, well, I would imagine within the next 2 weeks. So look out for that one, because that should be an absolute cracker. Let's see who we've got on the live chat here. So we've got Fanfret Steve, we've got Stacy, we've got Texas Iguana. Hope you're well. Texas Iguana, have you got any further with your pedal board? So we spoke to this fine gentleman, I think it was back in October, November time. And you were asking for suggestions also on the next pedals to add to your pedal board. So let me know if you've bought anything since we last spoke. Hope it's all working out. I hope the pedal chain that we suggested has worked wonders for you. Let's see. Yeah, so we're up to date. We're up to date there. So yeah, so there's plenty to come here on the channel. And like I say, looking at the analytics, everything is kind of pointing up at the moment. We've got green arrows all the way in every category. So the channel's moving in a good direction at the moment. So this is live chat 36. If you've just sort of wandered onto the video or onto the channel, I'm Mike Brooks. This is Brooks's Bass Corner. We're talking bass guitars, we're talking bass amps, bass effects, bass accessories, great bass players, great bass albums, songs with great bass lines on. If you've got any comments or questions or anything about the channel, maybe you've watched some of my other videos, if you'd like to ask anything, maybe you've watched a couple of the interview videos and you'd like to ask some questions about the people that I've interviewed. So we're talking Mark King, John Taylor, Marcus Miller, Glenn Hughes, Paul Turner, Chris Childs, Lee Sklar, Larry Graham, Chris Squire, Doug Wimbish. How can I forget young Doug? Felix Pistorius. There's a whole load of bass players I've interviewed. I was very lucky. I worked for Bass Guitar Magazine and Bass Player Magazine for 18 years. So a lot of the interviews you see here on the channel are taken from my interview audio for the interviews that were featured in those magazines. Texas Iguana. Yes, I've added more pedals and need direction with the order soon. Excellent. Tell me what you've bought. So I want what make and what model of pedal. Tell me what you've purchased, and then we'll see where we are. So tell me what you've bought, and then remind me what pedals you've got, and we'll try and refashion the chain. So I have a question. I have a preamp on my chain, and I'm being told that I need a power amp at the end of the chain. Can you share your thoughts? Okay, it depends whether you're running through an amp or not. So you say you have a preamp on your chain. So is that a preamp pedal or is it a preamp amplifier? Is that amplifier going into a speaker? Pedal. Right, okay. Do you want your chain going into a speaker that you're listening to, or are we talking in-ears here? To a speaker. Okay. Yes, you would need a power amp. There are pedal power amps. I think Ashdown either have a product or are developing a product, because Phil Mann was on about something similar a while back. I think they've already come out with a... Hi, Graham. Welcome. Good to see you, mate. I think Ashdown have already developed this. I'm sure there are other possibilities. So if you're not going to buy an amp, but you want to go into a speaker, the way it works is a preamp is basically your tone shaping. Okay. The power amp is what then amplifies the signal to the speaker. If you plugged a preamp just into a speaker, you either won't get any signal sound at all, or you'll get very minimal. I remember someone saying the old Trace Elliott preamps, if they didn't have a power amp section with them, you'd get like maybe 2 watts of volume out of it. Tom, that's my cousin. Evening. Good to see you. Welcome. I don't think you've been on one of these before, but welcome. So yeah, you need to have, if you want your signal to go through a speaker, as in like a bass speaker, so like a 4x10 or a 2x10 or whatever, you're going to need a power amp. So at this point, you need to decide, if you can find a pedal-based power amp. So again, have a look on Ashdown Engineering's page. Have a look. Google it. I don't know of any pedal power amps, but I'm sure there are some out there. I could do it now while I'm sat here, but it doesn't make for a very entertaining or illuminating live chat. The other option is just to go back to a regular amp and a speaker and use the preamp that's on your pedal chain as like an alternative EQ. So to give you an idea, what I do, because I do a bunch of different bands which require different means of amplification. So on some gigs, I still take an amp and a cabinet. I need to look in there. Don't look at the computer screen. So if I need a speaker and an amp, I'll take those. I'll still have my pedal board, and on that pedal board will be a preamp pedal. So basically, I've then got the safety that if there's an in-house sound engineer, or if the band want a feed from the amp to their mixer, their PA, they've then got a choice. They can either come out of the amp or they can come out the preamp pedal. I then use that preamp pedal as a separate EQ, so separate tone. So I might set my amp in a particular way, either keep it flat or with basic adjustments to work for that room, and then use the preamp pedal as a boost, or say if there's some slapping to do on certain songs, I might have a different EQ, so I don't have to change the amp behind me. I can just run it off of that preamp pedal. The other option is if I'm on a gig and I'm not using backline, then that preamp pedal is my hub, if you like. It's my core. It's the fulcrum. You know, I run through all the pedals. It gets to that preamp pedal. That's the point it goes out to the front house. So then that is replacing what the amp behind me would be doing. If you're in that situation, so you don't want it powering a speaker, then clearly you don't need the power section. But these are your options. So because of the general sort of cross section of work that I do, I need to have all those options available, but I haven't needed a power amp pedal. And to be honest, I generally use Aguilar amplification, usually an AG700. I'll use a DB751 if the gig requires it, but I'll use an AG700. The preamp pedal I generally use is the Aguilar tone hammer pedal, which is basically the preamp guts of a tone hammer amp without the power amp section. So I've basically got two Aguilar amps there. So I'm getting that general Aguilar tonal character. So either or works for me. So let me just catch up on what you've written here. Can you share your thoughts? Right, let me write them down. Pedal to speak. Yeah. Watched a few. Oh, that's my cousin. Well done. Welcome back. Here are the pedals so far. So you've got an Aguilar tone hammer preamp. Good. Origin Effects Cali 76 compressor. Okay. 64 black panel Ibanez tube screamer booster overdrive. Cool. MXR M82 bass envelope filter. Great. Aguilar filter twin. And then the fuzz pedal. Okay. Right. Okay. The first thing you got to decide is whether your preamp is going at the beginning of your chain or at the end. I usually put it at the end so that I haven't got to reroute my pedal based on the gig I'm doing. So basically, once I've set that board, it's fixed. So I will always put my preamp at the end because that's the last point that it then goes out to front of house, because I want my effects to be in that signal. Lots of bass players and some sound men will say, oh, put your preamp pedal at the front so that what we get front of house is totally clean. Well, that's fine, but then why are you even bothering with the pedals? because none of that's going to be in your signal chain if what's going front house is totally clean. The only way that works is then if you have a speaker behind you, they can take the XLR from the preamp pedal or an amp if you've got one. You can then run through the effects. Front of house is clean, and the effects going into your amp behind you is what you'll hear. Personally, if I'm using effects, that's what I want the people out front to be hearing. So I will always put my preamp pedal at the end. It's the last part of the chain. Now, the next point of contention is where you're putting your compressor. So you have to kind of work out what pedals you're having in your chain, because the compressor can have a very marked effect on how those pedals respond to the compressed tone. So do you want the effects added onto your signal, then compressed before it goes front of house, or if you're in a studio, to the desk? Or do you want the effects to be affected by the compressed tone? And that will be dictated by the pedals on your board. So let's take the compressor out of it for the moment, get the pedals in order, and then from there, you can either put the compressor at the front, somewhere in the middle, or at the end. So this is the experimentation. So whatever I suggest here, you're still going to need to experiment to find the tones you want, because I don't know what bass you've got, I don't know what strings you've got, I don't know how you play. All of those can affect how these pedals are influenced by your playing, how you phrase things, your attack on the strings, whether you're playing with a pick, fingers, slapping, all of that. So let's have a look here. So the Tube Screamer Booster Overdrive, I would put that after any octave pedals, and you might want to put it after a filter pedal or before, depending whether you're going to interact those pedals with each other. This is the other thing. Getting your order right is also affected by whether you have, for any given sound, whether you're using one pedal, two, or multiples. So say you're using a filter and a fuzz. Do you want the filter going into the fuzz or the fuzz into the filter? And again, are they being used together or individually? Because if you use a fuzz into a filter, the way the filter reacts to your signal is going to be influenced by the amount of fuzz and the level it's coming out of. The alternative is to go into the filter with a clean signal, or wherever you put it in the chain, and then that's getting fuzz added to it. All these pedals interact differently with each other. It really is a big experiment. So I can suggest to you what the general sort of, let's say, the general acceptance of how these things, basically you have genres of pedal type, and the general acceptance is you do that, then that, then that, then that. It might not work. So let's have a look. Okay. Personally, the way I'd set my board up, I would come in to a tuner. I would then go for the I would do the fuzz pedal followed by oh, it's a tricky one. I'd do the okay, my suggestion, try it. It might not work for you. Let's try it. I would say tuner, fuzz pedal, Aguilar filter twin, MXR filter pedal, then the Ibanez Tube Screamer. Then you need to decide, is the compressor going somewhere in the chain to affect the signal going to those pedals, or do you want it at the end so that You can tighten up the frequencies. That then goes to the preamp pedal, and then it goes out to the board or to a speaker if you're gonna use an amp and a cab. That would be my suggestion. But it could all be totally affected by the bass you're using, the strings you're using, how you play, your string attack, what material you play. But I think that would probably, for me, that would correspond to how I would interact those on my board. The reason I've put the tube screamer after the filter pedals is because it's also a booster, an overdrive. It's not a general distortion. If it was a general distortion, I'd put that before the fuzz. But so I suggest fuzz, filter twin, MXR filter pedal, Ibanez booster and overdrive. Then I would use the compressor, and then into the tone hammer preamp. That would be my suggestion. I could be totally wrong. But again, this is the joy of pedals and pedal boards. You've got to try all the different variables and see what works. Thinking out of the box. Never looked at the order as you suggested. There we go. I try. If you're going to throw any octave pedals into that, I would do that straight after the tuner. The reason being, octave pedals can be extremely fussy with regards to the bass, the type of pickup, how hot your signal is, how much treble there is in your signal, the tracking, any effect that requires tracking. Filters can be, but they're far less temperamental than octave pedals. So octaves, bass synths, the drop pedal, which I've talked about many times, the Digitech drop. Let me just get the box. One of these. Yeah, that. So anything that requires tracking or integrity of bass signal, put that straight after the tuner, as early in the chain as you possibly can. And then you would go, so say we would have tuner, drop pedal, octave pedal. I'd then have a distortion pedal, fuzz pedal, then into the filters, then things like chorus or delay or reverb if you're having any of that. Then a compressor. But again, you see, it depends what material you're playing. So in Uncle Funk's Disco Inferno, we play Forget Me Nots. We can play it for a couple of months. I want to put a compressor on my board for that, just for that song. At the moment, I've got to work out whether I want it early in the chain or whether I want it later in the chain to help with the other pedals that I'm running. It may be I end up putting 2 compressors on there. We'll see. But for things like Forget Me Nots, there's no other real effect on it. So it would be tuner, compressor, maybe, or tuner, drop pedal, then the compressor, then the octave pedal. It's all these possibilities, and Lord help me when we start bringing in the bass synths, because that's going to be another whole load of investigation, but that's what we're here for. This chat will not allow me to contribute funds as a thank you for your advice. It should do. If you go into the live chat window, Texas Iguana, there's an emoji icon, and there's also a dollar symbol. If you click on the dollar symbol, that should take you through. Let me just check something. Let me just check it's... just check the video monetization. No, it's all on. It's all on. I don't know why it's not letting you do that. If it won't let you do it, you can do it via Super Thanks, which is along the icons underneath the screen. You got the thumbs up, thumbs down, share button, save button. There's a love heart with a dollar symbol. That's Super Thanks. You should be able to do it via that. I don't know why Super Thanks, Super Chat isn't working. How bizarre. How bizarre. Lewis, evening, sir. Hope you're well. Good to see you. Have you seen the new Ibanez pedal? No. Inform me. Which new Ibanez pedal? What does it do? Is it a pedal board? Is it a multi-effects? I've been a little out of the loop for 2 weeks, my man. I don't know if you missed the start of the chat. Our dog died 11 days ago, which is why the channel's been very quiet for a week or two. So no, I've not kind of kept up with Ibanez's new pedal. Texas Iguana, you are a very nice guy. Thank you very much. Texas Iguana just donated $25 to the channel via Super Chat. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Anytime I can help you, you only need to ask. You don't need to donate if I give you a piece of advice, but thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Pentatone, a preamp that is stellar. I will check it out, Lewis. Ask me about that on the next live chat and I will check it out, because I will get in touch with the UK distributor, who I think is Headstock Distribution, and if I can get one in for review, I will. St. David, same thing happened to our Dalmatian this week, mate. I'm sorry. Do you know what? Since Max fell ill on the day after he fell ill on the Sunday, I feel like I don't want to sound morbid, so I don't suddenly want to see all the viewers drop off here. It feels like death is stalking around the place. And I don't just mean in my life. So on the day we took Max to the hospital, I found out that a very good friend of mine, who I interviewed for Bass Guitar Magazine back in 2016, some of you will have seen me post about him on the social media channels, a very revered session bassist here in the UK called Phil Spalding, died the night before. So on the night that Max fell ill, Phil died, although he died in the morning of the Sunday the 5th of February. He died in his sleep. I've then learned of other friends and people's pets dying, just literally in the past 2 weeks. Just seems to be everywhere. So David, you have my my warmest heartfelt sympathies and condolences. Yeah, so we've both lost dogs. I don't need to explain it to you. I know exactly what you're going through. You probably know exactly what I'm going through. The morning after Max had been put to sleep, I went to the hospital to say goodbye to him, even though he was passed away and semi-frozen. Walked into the hospital. I'm stood at reception to talk to the woman and say I'm here to see Max. And there, I'm looking into a room directly. There's a guy who must have been 22 stone, easy. Eastern European guy. Totally powerless to stop the fact that his 9-year-old dog was in front of him dying. He had no one with him. A neighbor had come with him. They didn't even speak his language. And the guy was huge. I mean, he could crush me easily. Absolutely bawling his eyes out. And I said to him, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. My dog is in the room next to yours. So where you are, there's the wall. My dog's in the next room. He got put to sleep last night. I was here 4 years ago when my last dog died. I know what you're going through. And the guy got up and gave me the biggest hug. You're totally powerless. And with Max, we were totally powerless to stop what happened. He had everything. We threw as much money at it as we could. The vets were doing everything they could. If he'd been in the hospital on meds, there's still no guarantee he would have got through the situation. I feel for you, David. I feel for you. If you want to talk about this, feel free to do it on the live chat if you're having a hard time. I know exactly what this is like. If you want to send me a message on social media, privately, you can find me on, there's Brooksy's Bass Corner on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you want to talk to me privately, not via Brooksy's Bass Corner, just look for me, Mike Brooks, on Facebook. You can messenger me. It's fine. You want to talk about dogs for hours? I'm more than happy to do that. Pentatone, right, Lewis? I will. In fact, you know what? I'm going to write it down on one of my post-its. Where's my post-it? And I will check it out tomorrow. How about that? Right. So it's the Ibanez Pentatone. I will investigate and report back. If I can get one in for review and demo, I will. So what did you say it was? It's a preamp. Okay. Let me check it out. If I get one in, I might do a comparison because I've got 4 or 5 preamp pedals here now. So yeah, we can do a bit of a comparison thing there. That'd be good. Thank you for the heads up. Much appreciated as always, Lewis. Okay, here we are. Live chat number 36 here on Brooks's Bass Corner. I'm Mike Brooks. This is Brooks's Bass Corner. We're talking bass guitars, bass amplifiers, bass speakers, bass effects, bass accessories, great bass players, bands with great bass players, albums that have got great bass players playing on them. You want to talk about anything to do with bass, this is the place to do it. So there's a live chat window. If you're on the mobile app, it's directly below this video. If you're on the desktop version, it's that way. Put your message, comment, question, whatever in the box. As soon as I see it pop up on the screen, I'll reply to it. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notifications when I post up new videos or I make posts on the community tab. For people that don't know what the community tab is, it's basically YouTube's version of social media. I post on it generally every day, every other day, to do with stuff about the channel, bass stuff, new products that are out there that I think you might be interested in. So yeah, if you hit the notification bell, it will tell you when I've got new videos coming up. It'll tell you when live chats are due to be broadcast, and it will tell you when I've posted up my community tab. Also, if you like any of the videos here on the channel or this video, the live chat, feel free to give it a thumbs up. It's very much appreciated. The YouTube algorithm loves that. Please leave comments, positive or negative is all good. I don't get offended easily. By all means, follow us on social media. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I also am on Reddit, Quora, Be Real. Lose track of, there's so many out there, but anyway, all of those. If you go to the front page of the channel, you'll see the little icons on the bottom right hand corner. Click on any of them, it'll take you through to my profile on the on those platforms. If you'd like to make a financial contribution to the channel, just like Texas Iguana did about 10 minutes ago, donated $25 to the channel. At the bottom of the live chat window, there's an emoji icon. So you can hit the emojis, add them to the conversation, knock yourselves out, guys. Do that as much as you wish. There's also a dollar symbol. That's called Super Chat. So if you're enjoying this live chat, you're enjoying the conversation, we just helped Texas Iguana with his pedals, which I'm more than happy to do. And he's donated $25 to the channel. So if you want to help financially, you can do that. Alternatively, underneath every video here on the channel, because we're monetized, you'll see the thumbs up, thumbs down, share arrow, save button. There's also a love heart with a dollar symbol in. That's called Super Thanks. Works exactly the same way as Super Chat. So if you're enjoying any of the videos on the channel, if you enjoy the output that I put up, that I create for your viewing pleasure, you can click on that Super Thanks button. It'll ask you how much you'd like to donate, and that's the way it works. That keeps the channel moving, keeps the wheels moving, allows me to buy pedals for review and demo. I'm kind of getting bored of banging my head on the brick wall trying to get gear out of companies, but hey, there we go. So I've gone out and bought these pedals, A, because I want them for my own board, but also so I can do review and demo videos for you fine people out there in YouTube land. And there is a whole load of video content on basses and pedals coming your way very, very imminently. So here we have the C4 synth pedal from Source Audio. And just a moment ago, I was showing you the Spectrum filter pedal from Source Audio as well. So there's going to be videos of both of these pedals coming very, very imminently. So when you donate to the channel, that allows me to buy these pedals. It allows me to book studio time for video recording. It allows me to sort the lights out and boom stands for mics and cables and all sorts of things. So thank you very much, Texas Iguana, for the super chat. I can see a load of video messages came up. Lewis Wingrove, I gave my pedal board a big upgrade, took out my deluxe bass Big Muff. My rig sounds way more dynamic. This is the whole thing with pedals. You have to experiment. And what I've found is your ears get tuned to how your pedal board sounds and how it makes your bass sound. If you then take one of those pedals out, it's going to change the dynamic. As you've found, you've taken the deluxe bass Big Muff out and suddenly everything's changed. Texas Iguana, just a quick heads up. Run your board without the compressor pedal, and then run your board after that with the compressor pedal. That will help you to determine A, where you want to put it in the chain, and B, whether you actually need it. Loads of bass players I know put compressors on there because they think they have to have one. You don't. Compressors, if you don't know how to use a compressor properly, is going to rob you of dynamics. However, as I'm finding with Forget-Me-Nots, a compressor is going to, because that whole song, apart from a small section in the middle, is all slapped and popped. As great a player as I am, slapping generally is peaks and troughs and transients, but it's not a constant volume. The output isn't constant. That's where the compressor comes in. It evens out those peaks and troughs so that if you hit a couple of notes or you pluck a couple of notes and they're not as loud as the ones before and after, it all evens out. So don't think you have to include that compressor pedal on your board. You don't. But if it helps, or you're using it for a particular song or a particular part of a song that it will improve it, go for it. David, have enjoyed creating new bass pedals on my Zoom B14. I've heard good things about that. Let us know what sound you're coming out with. What are you designing? Are you looking for chorus sounds, filter sounds, synth sounds? Let us know. Let us know. Lewis, I got a good cheap tip. World's best cable on Amazon. Using Megami cable and brand name ends. Patch cables and instruments at a great price. Cool. Cool. This is the information we need. This is good. That Source Audio will be killer. Nice choice. I thought so too. I watched a couple of videos last week, and they kind of made my mind up. We were talking about them, I think, 2 weeks ago, weren't we? And I just decided I couldn't be bothered constantly trying to get companies to send stuff. So I thought, just go and buy it. I'm going to include them on my board for Uncle Funk anyway. So there's no hardship. And I'm going to use them on loads of videos. So they'll pay for themselves one way or another. The Keeley compressor is very transparent. I'm not losing any tone. I highly recommend it. Very good. This is the information we need, you see. As much as I'm a well-travelled, well-reviewed bass player, you can't cover everything. You can try, but you can't. It's so, you know, if you can give us pointers, Lewis, this is great. Very helpful. Thank you. I'm just going to grab a quick drink, guys, because I'm talking for an hour and 3 minutes. Very good. So what else have people been buying? You fabulous people. What's been catching your eye? And we've got the NAMM show approaching in April. There's new gear coming out. The list of features on the Ibanez is too long to describe. Okay. I will check that one out, Lewis, and we'll have a discussion about it once I've got one here. Do you know if it's actually been released yet? Is it actually out? Are you able to buy it in shops? And for those in the UK, the guitar show, I think, is on this weekend. So we have to share a whole show with guitar players. But my old editor from bass guitar and bass player, Joel McIver, he's going. He messaged me earlier to ask if I was going this weekend. I said, sadly not, I'm gigging. So I can't be in a guitar show. Goodness me. Do my head in. Bass is one thing, guitar is another. I'll let you know if the Rev G8 noise gate is any good. I get mine next month. Excellent. Yes, please. Yes, please. All these little snippets of info about various pedals, all very helpful. Very good. Very good. Actually, let's turn that on here as well, so I'm getting everything as it comes through, so I don't miss anything. Ibanez comes out in April. Well, that'll be perfect timing then if I get in touch with the UK distributor, because they should just be getting review models in. So that's good. I have a history of reviewing Ibanez gear from the magazine days, so hopefully, yeah, they'll send one my way. You have one on reservation. Excellent. David Gill, have you decided on the fretless? Yes, I have, sir. And hopefully by next week or whenever the next live chat is, I'll be able to show it to you. So I've plumped for, I think I did mention it, didn't I, in the last chat? Maybe I hadn't. It's going to be a bass center jive bass in white with the tortoiseshell plate, lined fretless. Yeah, and I spoke to Barry at the Bass Centre about it last week, and it was meant to be done the week before because it's going to be a D fret. And he said he wanted to know if I was happy to have one. I think it's to do with the decal on the headstock, so it's whether it's the bass collection graphic or whether it's the jive bass graphic. But I said, Barry, it doesn't matter. As long as the bass plays great and it's white, I'm quite happy. So hopefully, well, now I'm literally just waiting for the phone to call to say it's ready, and I'll be heading off to Bagshot to go and pick it up. And there are some other irons in the fire that I can't say much about at the moment, but when there's something to tell you, I will. This is aside from the fretless, but I'll keep you posted on that. I have to check out this Bass Centre. Sounds like an awesome place. Okay, Lewis, let me give you a history lesson, okay? So the Bass Centre here in the UK now is not actually a shop. It's not a shop and not a bricks and mortar place you can go and try stuff. It's the name of the company that produces Betsy. Where is she? There, she's in my rack. And they have a whole range of bass guitars that you buy online. If you ring them up and organise going to visit them, then that's fine. But it's not like a bass shop you can just walk in off the street. The history of the Bass Centre was that the guy who still owns it, Barry Morehouse, fabulous guy, legend, started the Bass Centre. Well, actually, it was, I think, I interviewed him for the magazine about 6-7 years ago. As I recall, the initial seed of the Bass Centre was him selling bass guitars out of a distribution company. And when he realized there was definitely a market for it, he then decided to set up the Bass Centre, rented property in Wapping, in Docklands, down in East London. And that was it. The acorn was planted and very big trees sprouted from that acorn. The Bass Centre stayed at Wapping, I think, until 2002, I think. And then the place, so basically, unfortunately, Barry didn't move with the times. As he says, and I quote, "I never believed anyone buy a Music Man Stingray online having not seen it or played it. Who would spend a couple of £1,000 on a bass without having seen it?" The world of eBay proved him wrong. Online retailers proved him wrong. And the Bass Centre, I think whoever owned the lease on the property decided they wanted to sell. They wanted to take the money, give the site to property developers, and now there's flats on there. The Bass Centre then moved to Liverpool Street in the financial part of town. And that was there now, probably till about 2007, I think, 2008, maybe at a push. And then it ceased to be a bricks and mortar store and it just became an online thing. And then over the years, Barry was the distributor and the architect of Brian May guitars. So all of the Brian May guitars that you buy now that say Brian May guitars, they come through the Bass Center, or House Music, which is the overriding company. So yeah, so that's the Bass Center. I'm very fortunate. I met Barry the very first time I walked in the Bass Center, which would have been, without going online looking at a calendar, I think it was the 31st of August 1988. And I went there with my cousin, who'd just taken up bass guitar as well. We'd just gone to Wembley Arena to buy tickets for Level 42, which was in January 89, that show. And we went to the Bass Center. Everyone kept saying, you got to go to the Bass Center. I walked in there and I met Barry. He said, I was 16 years old. My cousin was, 50? Yeah, 15. Crap. Goodness, where did the years go? Yeah. So I was 16. My cousin was 15. Barry came over to us and said, guys, I run this store. My name's Barry. Hi. Anything you want to try, help yourselves. You need any help, just ask one of the members of staff. Anything you need, you just let us know. You didn't get that sort of welcome in any other guitar store in London. Even now, when I see him, I say, is that right? Can I still, yeah. If anything I need, I just speak to the staff, yeah. And he's great. A legend in his own lunchtime, and he a constant source of help and merriment whenever I see him. So I will be seeing him, hopefully, I guess either this week or next week, to go and pick this bass up. So cool. So yes, Lewis, that's the potted history. That's the Bass Center. So there isn't really a shop for you to go and visit. If you want to check out what they sell, just let me find out what the URL is. Hold on. I'll tell you. It is www.basscenter.com. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put the link in the live chat. So anyone wants to see what the UK Bass Center is all about, there's the link. Click on it. You want to check out Betsy, see what the prices are like, look at the new Betsy, the one in black. That's the Bass Center, UK. Anyone wondering what the hell I'm talking about? Here's Betsy. So this is a copy of Guy Pratt's 1964 Jazz that he bought from John Entwistle. I found out the other day it didn't get sold from Entwistle to Gilmore and then to Guy. The Gilmore part didn't even factor in the equation. I got it wrong. My fault. Sorry, Guy. So basically it's a copy of Guy's bass. He didn't want to take Betsy out on tour anymore, get it all battered and bashed. So asked the Bass Center, I guess, could they come up with a suitable alternative. They developed this, built this, and yeah, this is the Betsy bass. Active EMGs, passive tone control, batteries under the control plate, ebony fingerboard, and basswood body. And it's great, absolutely superb. Everything a good jazz bass should be. Very good. So the Bass Center sells these. So if you want one, Bass Center's where you go. Tell them I sent you. Apparently I might be on affiliate commission soon. Again, that's to be discussed. But there we go. Okay, I got it pulled up. Excellent. So yeah, so they have various bass ranges on there. They have a thing called the Bass Masters series. So notable British players who have kind of not signature basses, but they have a particular bass that they're associated with. Barry calls them in and says, can we design a bass just like yours? So people like Leo Lyons, there's like a 69 Jazz, I think, or 68 Jazz. There's Betsy, there's Norman Watroy's various basses that he used for his time with the Enduro and the Blockheads. Yeah, they look like Fenders. I don't want to be slanderous, but the quality is exceptional for the money. Believe me. If you want to check out some videos, Lewis, there is a review and a demo of Betsy here on the channel. There is also a review of the Bruce Thomas profile base. I keep calling it the portrait. That's to do with Jacko. The profile base is basically a standard precision. Red, I think it's a tortoiseshell plate. I can't remember. So Bruce, for anyone who doesn't know, Bruce Thomas was the bass player for Elvis Costello and the Attractions. Great bass player. Hi, Bruce, if you're out there. And there's a review of... no, I've put a demo up. I need to do the review video of that profile bass. A great precision copy. Really good. Great bases for the money. And because it's coming from the bass center, they check everything really well before it gets shipped to you. Also, the big benefit of the bass center is they have a tech there called Chris Ward. Chris was the tech at the bass center for years and years and years and years and years. Lots of big name players use Chris when they need any work done on their basses, amps, pedals, whatever. And he's a lovely guy, and he's exceptionally thorough, and he's really good at what he does. So you buy a bass from the bass center, it goes via Chris before it even leaves the building. I love Fender, but when I tested one at Guitar Center, the new bass was terrible, so I got a Schecter bass instead. Well, if you want to check out these bass center basses, I can highly recommend it. I think if you're buying from the US, you don't pay VAT. So the price, well, I think the prices on the site say VAT and ex-VAT. So, yeah. There's some great stuff on there. Really, I'm just looking at it. I won't spin the camera, but yeah. Some really good basses. Check them out. Check them out. And again, tell them I sent you. Say Mike Brooks really recommends some of your basses. And they'll know who you're talking about. So yeah, so there we go. So here we are, Brooks's Bass Corner, live chat number 36. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hope you're all safe and well. Hope life is treating you well. We're talking bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, bass accessories, great bass players. We're throwing in the conversation. We're talking about social media videos and people playing on the various platforms, and whether they're inspiring or whether they make you a bit depressed, or they're good or they're bad. And having a nice person in the band who gets on and makes the team work as a whole is better than having someone who's a virtuoso but a complete pain in the ass. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. That came earlier in the video. So if you're watching this video after the event, you can still contribute to the conversation. Even though the live chat window is closed, you can still post comments. As soon as I get a notification as a comment, I'll respond to it. That's the way it generally works. This is a live chat. So if you're on the mobile app, the live chat window is directly below this video window. If you're on the desktop, it's that way. Put your questions and comments in the live chat. As soon as I see them pop up, I'll respond to them. If you want to financially donate to the channel, help keep the wheels turning, there's a super chat facility at the bottom of the live chat window. There's also an emoji icon. Fill the chat with emojis as you wish, guys. Fill your boots. It's the YouTube algorithm loves it. So feel free to do that. Super chat allows you to make a financial donation to the channel. Texas Iguana from the US. Texas, I guess. The name gives it away. Donated $25. Thank you very much, sir. Very much appreciated. Alternatively, you can use the super thanks facility. So again, if you're watching this video after the event, live chat windows closed, there is a super thanks button underneath the video window. So you've got thumbs up, thumbs down, you've got the share arrow, then you've got save. There's a love heart with a dollar symbol. That's super thanks. So if you're enjoying this video or any videos here on the channel, because we're monetized, you can hit the super thanks and financially make a donation to the channel. Alternatively, there are affiliate links in the description box, and that goes for every video here on the channel. So again, if you click on any of those affiliate links, purchase anything from the stores that I've set up, the channel benefits from an affiliate link. And as from tomorrow, fingers crossed, I will have the merchandise up, active, so you can buy t-shirts, caps, hoodies, mouse mats, bottles, all all sorts of various items, accessories, merchandise with my branding, Brooks's Bass Corner, on it. So that will be up and active, I really hope, tomorrow. That's been pending for a couple of weeks, but unfortunately we had a sad situation here at home and it all got put on the back burner, but there we are. Okay, Lewis, I want a great Fender, even if she doesn't wear the name. Then in that case, the Bass Centre is definitely for you, sir. I think my biggest surprise when I got into playing bass is finding out no band members ever played bass guitar for recording. They hire a master to put it down. Well, isn't that the truth? In an age now where for the past 20 years, if I could tell you how many times people have asked me to go and record on tracks that they had done themselves because Pro Tools or Logic meant they could do it themselves, and then when they listened to it, it wasn't what they wanted and they didn't know how to get it. That's why we're professional bass players. I would have never heard of Marcus Miller or Leslie Skylar. I think you mean Lee Sklar. His name is Leland Sklar. He's played on over 2,000 albums. He was Phil Collins' bass player, James Taylor's bass player, Lyle Lovett. He the whole LA music scene for many years. Lee Sklar was on virtually every album that came out of LA. He does 1,000,001 artists, played with the biggest musicians in the world. Lee Sklar is a living legend. I'm very lucky that I can communicate with him, and I interviewed him 7 years ago. We stay in touch by email, and he's great. So yeah. Lewis, when you say I would have never heard of Marcus Miller or Leslie Skylar, is that because you've seen my videos on the channel? I'll wait for you to reply. If you hadn't heard of Marcus Miller or Lee Sklar, you need to do some investigation. These are bass playing legends. Yeah, I love that man. There we go. Yeah, I've had good conversations with both of them over the years. So, yeah. Cool. So if you've got any questions, any comments, stick them in the live chat window. As soon as I see them, I'll respond to them. No, just the journey of playing bass. Found him on YouTube. Very good. Lee Sklar is well worth listening to. If you come across any interviews with him or anything that he does on YouTube, definitely watch it. You will come away from it having learnt something. And he's very good at sort of imparting his knowledge. He's great. He's great. He doesn't have a lot of time for people who use YouTube and social media for being flashy and look how good I am and all that. He can't stand all that. He said there's far more to be gained from going and listening to a good bass player in a band than watching some kid on YouTube rattle off the hardest bass licks you've ever heard. He's probably quite right. In his inimitable style, of course. So yes, we're talking bass guitars. We're talking bass effects, bass accessories. Graham, here we go. Hey Mike, just bought an Aguilar SL212. Very good. I hope you're enjoying that lightweight. Carry with one hand. Yeah, very impressed with the sound. Super lightweight and has a great footprint. Fabulous. I have two, but very often because I'm using an AG700, I can't use two. I can only use one. But if I go out with the DB751 for if I'm doing Queen tributes or rock gigs or what have you, I'll take both. And I have to say, a DB751 going through a pair of SL212s is quite a thing to hear. I love it. Just bask in that for the whole gig. Lewis, who laid down the tracks on the Fleetwood Rumours album? That would be John McVie. I think he's probably the only bass player who's ever played for Fleetwood Mac, unless he was ill, missed the gig. But quite a lot of that album was recorded with an alembic, which actually was sold a few weeks ago, went up for auction. It was, I think it was an aluminium fingerboarded fretless. And I think in the description of the build is that it's constantly fretted. I can't remember. There was something about it that it was constantly fretted, even though it's a fretless. So I'm guessing that's to do with the action, maybe. The strings are permanently in contact with the fingerboard. I don't know. Google it. It'll come up. One of your favourite bass tones as a kid? Well, you know, if it's an alembic, it's going to sound fairly good. I don't know if he used it on every track on Rumours, but he certainly used it on quite a few. He was quite an advocate of alembic, which would tie up with the fact of where they recorded Rumours. So a lot of that, I think, was Sausalito, sort of San Francisco way. And obviously at that time, alembic were based in those areas. So no doubt he went there and had a bass made, or a couple of basses made. And yeah, so I'm talking about alembics, and there's a pair on the wall right there. Cool. Oh, I'm pleased you bought the cabinet, Graham. Great. So you'll be playing your GBs through that, I would hope. The tweeter takes some getting used to. If you've used EBS stuff before, so I went from EBS to Aguilar. The EBS cabs can be quite bright and lively, and the Aguilar is a little less, what's the word? It's not hi-fi, but they're a little less super bright. They're not tuned to be so super bright. But I love the tone that I get out of SL212s, and the tweeter on it is certainly capable of some bright tones. Just need to, you'll find it. You'll find your sweet spot once you've got the bass, new strings, plug into the amp, into the cab, and just a little bit of experimentation. I know the first couple of gigs I did with SL212s, I was like, is the tweeter even working? So you've just got to find the sweet spot. Once you get it, it's great. Yeah. Cool. Very good. So yeah, here we are. Brooks's Bass Corner. We've been going for nearly an hour and a half. And it's live chat number 36 here on a Tuesday evening in London, here in the UK. Just coming through February. We'll be into March before you know it. Couldn't tell you where the year's gone. It's not been a great start to the year, but I won't go back into that. If you've got any questions regarding bass guitars, bass amps, bass speakers, bass effects, bass accessories, great bass players, albums with great bass lines on. Lewis just mentioned Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. Now there's a classic album. And actually, Lewis, I did a look at that album. There's a series of videos here on the channel called Essential Bass Albums, which I basically took from a column, a running series that I did in Bass Guitar Magazine from 2016 through to 2018. Rumours was one of the albums we featured, so I used that while we were in lockdown as a series here on this channel. If you go to the Essential Bass Albums playlist, you'll find my commentary on Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. Let me know what you think. Darker speaker on the Aguilar. The Ampeg is a bit too bright for me. See, this is the thing with Ampeg. You say that, and then I could try another Ampeg and it doesn't sound bright at all. This is the constant issue I've had with Ampegs over the years. Not that I've bought any, I haven't, but very often I end up having to use Ampegs on gigs or abroad, or stuff's hired in. And there's never any consistency. Okay, Lewis, I've got a question. I hear that 10-inch speaker sounds better than 12-inch drivers. No, that's not the case. A 10-inch speaker sounds different, not necessarily better. So, for any of those who want to know how different speaker sizes work, so the smaller a speaker you have, or the smaller the driver, so 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, sometimes it's 5-inch Trace Elliott Brightbox, for example, where they had 4 5-inch drivers. The smaller the speaker, the brighter, how can I say, the brighter the delivery. As your speaker gets bigger, it becomes more bass oriented. As the speaker gets smaller, it's more treble oriented. So clearly a 6-inch speaker is going to sound a lot brighter than an 18-inch speaker, which is going to sound a lot bassier. So as you work your way back, the classic bass speaker sizes have generally been 15-inch. So for people that generally play fingerstyle, like a bit of heft, a bit of bottom end to their tone. Then you've got 12-inch speakers, which kind of sit between a 15 and a 10. You've then got 10-inch speakers. Now, they became very popular during the 80s for slap, tapping, brighter sounding speakers, quicker delivery, faster, punchier, more transient. You've then got 8-inch speakers, and you'll find some speaker cabinets have a single 8-inch driver. It's going to not be particularly loud or powerful. You're going to get quite a lot of detail out of it, but you won't get a lot of bottom end out of it. So that's how it works. So when someone says, does a 10-inch speaker sound better than a 12? It depends what you want. Depends how your bass sounds. Depends what sort of strings you've got. How do you EQ your bass? How do you EQ your amp? So then you have the issue of, is your cabinet one driver, one speaker, or is it several drivers? So it might be a 212 or a 210 or a 410 or a 412. Trace Elliott in the 80s would produce cabinets that had 212s and 210s, or 210s and 28s in the same cabinet. So it's not a case of what sounds better, it's a case of what makes the sound that you need. So here in my office, I won't tilt the camera, but I've got 210, 410, 210, 212. In the garage, there's some 212s, another 210, a 410. There's another 410 there. Different brands, different makes, all sound different. In car audio, the 10 is much faster. This is the thing. So if you do a lot of slap stuff, a 4x10 or a 210 is going to respond quicker, brighter, and punchier than 12s or 15s. However, for years I used a 410. One 410 and a 350 watt head, and that covered everything I needed. When I then moved from Hartkey to EBS, I had a 410, then bought an extra 210, then bought an extra 410, so I had 2 410s and a 210. When my back started to give me some grief, and I had some regular money coming in on a gig that my band was going to play, or we literally played at this place for like 4 or 5 years, I decided to make an investment in my health, and I went for Neo cabs. But instead of going for a 410, I'd got a 212. So I'm getting a slightly broader, rounder sound, but it had a tweeter in it, which gave me the transients and the sparkle. I love that 212 cab. And then I bought an extra 210 to reinforce. So if I was doing weddings in marquees are infamous for sucking out your frequencies on a wedding gig. The 212, 210, the 600 watt head was perfect. It sounded great. When I moved to Aguilar, I decided to just stick with the 212s, the SL212s. So super lightweight, 212s and a tweeter in each cab. Sounds great. David Gill, watched a video on Carl Thompson. His quote, I didn't build a bass for Stanley Clarke or Les Claypool either. I make those for Carl Thompson. Are the words of an artist. His playing is smooth. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, funny types. Yeah. I've never watched a lot on Carl Thompson. I should do some more research. But yeah, I didn't build a bass for Stanley Clarke or Les Claypool either. I make those for Carl Thompson. Can't argue with that. He obviously knows his own mind, clearly. So what's your foray into fretless? I think we were talking about this last live chat, weren't we? You were of a similar mind that you wanted to dip a toe in the fretless water. So have you made any decisions what bass you're going for? Just check. Difficult to locate a lefty. I think there was a WAL at Bass Direct that was left fretless, as I recall. Obviously, you might not want to spend £5,000, but yeah, I've seen the bizarre thing. I've seen a lot of left-hand basses going up for sale lately. Yeah, keep seeing basses in eBay ads, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, and then realise it's a left-handed version. But I understand the difficulty. Yeah. So here we are. Oh, I saw a message fly up there. Would also prefer a short scale. In that case, I think you're going to have to go down the custom route. If I may suggest, Viv Wilcock, his short scale Malarkeys and various other basses. Well, I'm sure he'll make you a long scale as well if you want, or a medium scale. But if you prefer a short scale, there's a review of a Wilcock here on the channel. It's a 4P51, I think it's called. It was actually built for Tim Lefebvre, and it came to me for review before it went off to him. So if you want to get an idea of what that bass sounds like, feel free. But there are various combinations that he builds, so you can have one with two humbuckers or a bisonic pickup, or there's all sorts. Viv's a great guy to deal with. I'm sure he'll build you a left-handed one. I think I'm sure he does. In fact, I'm sorry, tonight's live chat, I'm checking things while I realise sometimes in our live chats I need to reference something before I can talk about it. So just bear with me a moment. I'm sure he does left-handed. Maybe not. So a little short and long scale. Yeah. I'm sure if you spoke to him nicely, he'll do a left-handed one. Trying to see if there's an option on the website that allows you to stipulate. I think there isn't. Send him an email. His email address on the website will tell you what he can and can't do. So, Chris Cox. Hi, Chris. How you doing? Hi, Brooksy. Enjoying the chat. Just upload another bass song. I'm new to this. Hope to hear you play a bit. Not on the live chat, sir. I can't risk playing and it becoming loads of bass frequencies and distorting. But I do play. So if you want to check out any of the other videos on the channel, feel free. All those lovely basses would be good to watch your style. Thanks for the inspiration. My pleasure. Yeah, we will do a live chat at some point where I'll get a cab and an amp. And yeah, you guys can say, oh, how does that sound or how does that play? The only problem is, because I'm not running through a mixer or anything here, is that because I'm doing this via camera and it streams straight up rather than me going via an audio interface mixer, there's a couple of different ways of doing the live chats. I can't play and you get the direct sound. So it would be me plugged into an amp and speaker and then the microphone on the camera picking that up. So I will investigate this. I've got so many things I need to do over the next couple of weeks. I will try and find a way of doing that, because if we could incorporate that, it'd be great. What I would love is for YouTube to be able to allow you guys to send pictures, audio on the live chat, but they still don't do it. But there we go. But you're welcome anyway. So if there's anything you want to see, I can play it. You're just going to get the unamplified sound. So it's just going to be strings twanging against metal frets. But if there's something you want to discuss, or you see something in the rack and you think, oh, I'd like to ask about that, then put it in the live chat window and I'll pick whichever bass you want to hear out of the rack, and I'll happily discuss anything. So that's cool. Lewis, when I pick up the guitar, when I was younger, I played it upside down. I'm right-handed. So when I got a bass, I went with right-handed since everything was new. Got it. Yeah, understood. I know what you're talking about. Right, you play. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, cool. So yeah. And for those who perhaps haven't seen the last video that I put up, I go through all 33 basses that I've got here in my collection. So if you want to know the stories about why I bought them, where I bought them, when I bought them, what I bought them for, what they do now, what bands do I use them in now, there's a 55-minute video going through this little lot. So yeah, if you've not seen that, I can put up a link if you wish. I can do that. This is me being proactive on a live chat. We want that. I'll give you the link so it's nice and easy for you. Hello, there we go. So if you want to check that video out, you can via this link. So that's the bass collection video. It's all in there. Not quite sure. It's actually, someone said to me the other day, how can you remember where you bought all your guitars from? I said, I just do. I remember all those places. I can walk past where those shops were in London or wherever they were in the country. I know what they were called. I know where they were. And I know exactly what day, what month. I don't know. I just remember all that stuff. Important events behind a bass. Hey, welcome. I haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're okay. Which do you prefer between your alembics? Oh, well, I can't pick. I can't pick. And the reason I can't pick is because they may look very similar or identical. Well, they're not identical. They're two different models. So that one was a 20th anniversary from 1989. This one is a Mark King Signature Standard from 1999. Both walnut, maple, mahogany. Sound totally different from each other. Complete chalk and cheese. Again, you want to check out the videos. There are demos, soundbite demos on the channel. You can hear these basses running through my Audience Sono interface. Those two basses sound completely different from each other. I couldn't pick which I prefer. So the 20th anniversary has kind of more of the old school, twangy, funky alembic tone. The Mark King is far more modern, crisp, hi-fi kind of, it's hard to describe. Yet they're both running with low pass filters and everything else. I remember all of my bass purchases. Scale differences, exactly the same, both 34. I need to get in a taxi to get down to the low F. But no, they're exactly the same. Exactly the same, both 34. The Mark King's got LEDs, the 20th anniversary hasn't. 20th anniversary's got stereo option and a pickup selector. The Mark King has a pickup balance, pickup pan, Q switches, low pass filters, and a volume. Very simple, easy. The 20th anniversary is a little more convoluted, but it's great. It's great. Absolutely sounds fabulous. Which do I prefer? Goodness. Yeah, I can't do it. They actually, bearing in mind so many factors about both of them are very similar. They feel very different to play. The 20th anniversary is a very slinky feel. The neck is really shallow. Really shallow. The Mark King is a bit broader, a little. And it feels... whereas the 20th anniversary feels slinky, and it's like, oh, okay, I can whiz around on this. The Mark King feels like it's like serious piece of wood, you know. It's not bulky, but it's just Mark King described it as substantial. I think I read him say the Alembics just feel like a substantial piece of kit, and that's how that one feels. Graham, do you ever gig the Alembics? I certainly do. I certainly do, but I only do it on gigs where I know I'm going to have a load of room. I won't take them on a gig where either we're going to be very sort of enclosed or close up, because I don't want to get them banged or dinged or anything like that. So if I'm doing like a Butlins, I know I'm going to have lots of space. I'm going to have great monitors. If I'm using backline, it's going to sound amazing. And actually, the first couple of times I used the Alembics at the Butlins made me realise, I mean, I knew how good they were, but it gave me an appreciation of quite how they sound when they sound fantastic. Because again, the Butlins had great monitoring and I had backline, and it was like you play notes and slap, and it was like, whoa, okay, right. It was like, you know, this is it. This is like what you've been aiming for. But I don't use them on lots of gigs. Generally, I use, well, for the bulk of the work I do at the moment, if I'm doing Queen tributes, it's Precisions. If I do ABBA, I use what I like. If I'm doing Uncle Funk, it's, well, for quite a long time of doing the Uncle Funk stuff, I was using the GB Rumour green one, Kingfisher blue one. Then I was using the white one, 50th birthday bass, and because we're now in the middle of the bass string experiment series, I've been using the Status Empathy since end of July. So, like I said, last Saturday's gig was the 30th gig with that set of strings on. Once the bass string experiment series of videos finishes, it'll be back onto the white GB, which has got the sound to light controller in it. But yeah, I actually used the Alembics on while we were in lockdown. Uncle Funk filmed a gig without an audience. Hey, thank you. Super chat from TKOTNK. Thank you very much. Of course I remember you. Thank you. 800 yen. Thank you very much. That is very much appreciated. If you wish to do the same, you can do so by hitting the super chat button, which is the dollar symbol at the bottom of the live chat window. If you wish to financially donate to the channel, keep the wheels turning, allows me to buy, well, every week when we do a live chat and I say, you know, or people ask, what does the money go towards? So studio time, gear, lighting, sound equipment, cables, buying the items that are going to feature in the videos. So on the last live chat, I was talking about that one, the Source Audio C4 synth pedal, and we were talking at great length about it. Some of us were. Anyway, I got sick of asking for one for review, so I just went out and bought one. So there's going to be review videos and demo videos and comparison videos of this pedal very, very soon, imminently. So when any of you wonder, what does the money actually go on? It allows me to get this stuff to then create the content that you guys can then hopefully watch, enjoy, and reference. So that was one. And then because that pedal's so good, and I was checking out this, which is the Source Audio Spectrum Intelligent Filter. I was watching videos of both of these. They're outstanding. The level of customization using the apps, whether you do it on a PC, a laptop, Mac, or on your phone, is outrageous. And I can't wait to get to grips with both of these. But also, on top of that, I'm going to be using both of them on the Uncle Funk pedal board, which was another reason for buying it. So thank you very much, TKOTMK. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you. So yes, so that's what, when you guys super chat or super thanks, it's not just buying pedals, it's everything, you know, cloud lifter boxes for recording gear, cables, all sort of maintenance stuff. When I do the maintenance workshop videos, of which there's going to be a whole load, because now I've got gigs coming up in the next couple of weeks. Some of these basses need to get cleaned up, restrung, reset up. It's going to be a whole load of workshop videos coming your way. Lewis Wingrove, one of my favourite aggressive bass tones is GC Green from Godflesh. Don't know what you're talking about. Educate me. sounds like he's playing it with a spoon. I've got to hear that. Anyone that's ever seen me play after I've had a few pints will say I sound like a spoon. Not necessarily the bass, me. Yeah, very good. Excellent. Thank you for making me laugh. There's not been a lot of laughter here for the past couple of weeks, so thank you. Here we are, live chat 36 here on Brooks's Bass Corner. I'm Mike Brooks. You're very welcome wherever you are in the world. It might be morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening, could be the middle of the night. Thank you for attending. If you're watching this after the event, if the live chat window has ceased, you can still contact me and contribute to this video via the comments. So feel free to do that. If you wish to hit the subscribe button, please do so. Hit the notification bell so you get notifications when we put up new videos and post on the community tab. By all means, give the video a thumbs up. Give any of the videos on the channel a thumbs up. It all helps with the algorithm. Leave comments, like the videos, get involved in the live chats, hit the emoji button. It's all good. TKOTMK. Yeah, time difference makes it difficult for me to join. That's okay, but you can always watch it on catch up. So if you want to watch any of the old live chats, feel free. Glad to catch you before going to work. Thank you. Lewis, how do you approach the envelope filter? The Electro Harmonix bass balls was so terrible, I'm scared to use one. Okay, on my current board, I use the Aguilar Filter Twin, which is very intuitive. So there's 4 controls. I think there's two filters in there. But I find I get great sounds out of it, and I find it easier to use than the EBS Bass IQ, but they both sound totally different. So the Bass IQ I use occasionally, but generally on my board I've got the Filter Twin. I can't wait to use this Source Audio. I can't wait to use this because I've seen the demos and it's like, oh yeah, I need that. But I've got some other envelope filters here. I've got an Ashdown one I can see in my effects box there. I've also got a filter from Flatly Pedals. So there's a demo on the channel of that. When I had, well, quite early on in the life of this channel, I had a whole load of Flatly pedals to do pedal demos and reviews. And you'll see, I think there were 2. And I was allowed to keep 1. So I think I've got the, just bear with me guys. I have got, it's in here somewhere. There it is. I think it's called the Star Filtron. I think. Star Filtron. So that's from Flatly Pedals. But there was another filter that I was given as well to review. So you can check those out here on the channel. But generally, the thing you've got to remember with filter pedals is it's like octavers, it's like compressors. How you play, how you EQ your bass, how you attack the strings, what you play, and how you play is going to completely dictate how that pedal works. So it's very much a case of experimenting. And again, if you've got, I know you've only got the one bass, Lewis, but if you pull out like 3 or 4 basses, they will all sound different and react differently with that pedal. So generally with a filter, either I'm looking for a specific sound that I've heard elsewhere, or maybe on another album or track or something, and I want to replicate that. Or like with Uncle Funk, I tend to set that filter pedal up, not every gig, but every couple of gigs, and I'll vary it. I'll change. So I'll have the settings written down, and I might just change it and tweak it and do a different sound. And I'd probably say, so how long we've been doing that? So July 2021 was the first gig out. So that'd be a year, 5. We're looking at about 20 months, I guess. Maybe, yeah, about 20 months. I've probably had 10 different filter sounds out of that pedal, and they've all worked. Some of them are a bit more treble biased, some of them a bit more bass bias, I might have a bit more of a whoop on there, or I might have less. And it's just, filter pedals are great for that because they change constantly based on how you are playing. So experiment, my man. Try it out. Stacey, yes, it looks like a lefty from Wilcott can be had for a 20% upcharge. See, if I can't help you, someone else on the channel will, Dave. I love this. It's like my safety net. If I miss something, someone else picks up on it. Fabulous. Well done, Stacey. Check the options list under each Wilcott bass available. Super. Lewis, so far the bass balls, rat, soul food are not a match for me. Okay. Because you're in the US, check out some videos on the Aguilar Filter Twin. See what you think. Then also maybe have a look at the EBS Bass IQ. Again, there's a video on the channel. Then, there are so many filter pedals. So it's kind of get an idea what you want it to sound like or what options you want it to give you. It's like there are loads of different bass fuzzes. Not all of them sound the same. I've got 4 or 5 octave pedals. None of them sound the same. So yeah. So look, David Gill, Starburst Stacey, and I have to check them out and shipping to the States. Thank you. Stacey, quite welcome. I love the manners on this channel. Fabulous. All right, Texas Iguana. Here, 2 filter pedals I suggest. MXR M82 bass envelope filter pedal. Yeah, I've got one over there. There can reviews coming very shortly. Emma Electronic, the Discombobulator. I know that pedal very well. Auto wire envelope filter. Good call. Well done, sir. Lewis, thanks, Texas. Oh, okay. The inconsistencies are part of what I was judging as poor. Need to open the mind. Yeah. Any filter, any pedal that tracks your signal, how it sounds, the texture of it, the EQ of it, you're going to find this with all the filters. They all respond slightly differently. And again, it depends on the bass you're using, the strings you're using, how you're EQing that signal. So it's a constant process. Do not be surprised if you end up buying and selling several different filter pedals until you find the one that works for you. They're certainly not one size fits all, but I've been quite lucky in the ones I've had and have. But I think this Source Audio is going to be the one to rule them all, purely because you can go into it and absolutely tailor every possible option to how you want it to perform. Again, check out a good video is the one on basstheworld.com. That's the one I checked out last week, and it sold me on it. So I'm now sort of getting my ideas together for what I want to do in my demo and review videos of that pedal. We shall see. And don't even get me started on the C4 synth. There's so many options in that. We will see. So yeah. So here we are. Live chat number 36 here on Brooksy's Bass Corner. If you've got any questions about that. Sorry. That one just came straight back out. Thank you. If you've got any questions about bass guitars, bass effects, bass speakers, bass amplifiers, bass accessories, great bass players in great bands, albums with great bass tracks on, stick it in the live chat window. As soon as I see your message or your comment or your question pop up, I'll respond to it. If you're on the mobile app, live chat window is below this video window. If you're on the desktop version, it's that way. Yep, that's it. I saw a couple of things pop up there. Lewis, keep in mind that myself comes from car audio and home audio, so perfect. Clean is right. Live music seems to be no wrong, no right. No, exactly. It's experimentation. It's a new concept for me. When you first get into the world of bass effects, it's there's so many options. It can be overwhelming. Get yourself a notepad or a notebook and write, have a page for each pedal and try out different things, and you'll find and panning between your pickups will give you different results. especially when it comes to things like octave pedals, where the tracking is hyper important and really finicky. You know, sometimes I've had octave pedals where a bass that I thought would work really well, active electronics, really super clean, it just didn't track. And yet you can plug in a jazz with single coil pickups, passive, and it will track perfectly. You then pick up another jazz with slightly hotter pickups or weaker pickups, and it doesn't track at all well. It's experimentation. Invariably, though, with things that have tracking, so synth pedals, filter pedals, octave pedals, you'll find basses and settings that work. Write them down, because when you need them at short notice, if you've got them written down, it's a lot easier than going, so how did I have that set up? And you don't get the setting again. Imagine the inner struggle. Yeah, quite exactly, mate. I had it when I was putting my board together for the first bunch of Uncle Funk shows. It was like, I don't use effects generally, and for years I hadn't. But here I was in a disco funk band, and I can suddenly bring all these toys out to play. It was like, all right, not sure how I'm going to do this. I don't know what order this is going in. I don't know what the best order is. Am I going to be stuck to using one bass always? And I thought, no, I want to have the flexibility to use any of my basses. But in doing that, if you get accustomed to using one bass often, you switch to the other, be prepared that you're going to have to tweak your pedal board, because all the pedals are going to react differently to the bass you had on the last gig, you know. But that's just par for the course. And you may find you get some better sounds. So it's a constantly developing thing. And sometimes the way I have certain pedals set up in one band doesn't work for how I have it set up in another band. So, you know, there's no right or wrong. It's just what sounds good, what works on the gig that you're playing on that night. And always check your settings. Don't assume that it's all still the same as it was at the last gig, because I've done that and found something has knocked one control. I think it was on my tone hammer, and it was like the mids were on full blast. I'm thinking, this pedal doesn't sound right. There's something not right there. And I didn't twig that the mid EQ had gone to full whack. There we go. You live and learn. So yeah. So let me know, guys. I've got, as I said, there's loads of content now going to come up on the channel. What would you like to see more of? I've done this as polls on the channel before. Obviously, reviews and demos. I need to do more of that. It's all, a load of it is already filmed, ready to go. Just haven't had the time to do the promotion for it. Something someone asked for before Christmas, I think it was back in October, November time. Someone was asking for effect tutorials. So how do you use chorus effectively? How do you use an octaver properly? How do you use a filter pedal? How do you incorporate those sounds into a band situation? Very easy if you're a solo bassist, maybe like someone like Steve Lawson, who's known entirely as a bass soloist. He creates all his sounds and plays his own material. But how can you incorporate some of this into a band? And how do you learn how to do it? Well, it's a practice thing. It's finding sounds that you like already on record, and then knowing how to build those sounds for yourself. Then how can you integrate them into a band situation? As I just said, for years I didn't use any effects, but over time, especially if a hit song comes out, that suddenly all the if you're playing covers bands, every covers band does. So if we jump in the time machine back to 1999, every band was playing Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz. Well, it's got a phaser on it. Or you can get away with a flanger if you don't have a phaser. Every bass player was playing that. So you had to have either a phaser or a flanger to be able to get that kind of sound. So if you're a covers band doing that, very simple. Right, well, there you go. You've got to have a phaser or a flanger to be able to do it. But a lot of the time I use effects. I don't tend to have effects turned on for a whole song. So for example, in the Uncle Funk set, if I go through in my head what we have song wise, for a whole bunch of songs I don't use anything. Boogie Nights by Heatwave, I use the filter twin, give it a kind of, because there's a bass synth on that as well as a bass guitar. So I thicken up the sound with the filter twin, but it also has that kind of wiry whoop, whoop effect in there. And it works for that. But then we do that as a medley into Lost in Music. I don't have any effect on that. For a while I had chorus, thickening it up a bit. And I thought, actually, you don't need to. It's too much. It's too much EQ. In Uncle Funk, we're a 9-piece band. There's a lot of frequencies going on there. So you don't want to be stealing other people's frequencies as much as possible. Some folks can use pedal placement order concepts so they can increase their understanding when to break the rules. Yeah, it took me 25 pedals and 2 years to get a great understanding of interactions. There you go. That's what I'm saying. So let me think, what else in the set do I use? If when we're doing Feel the Force, for a while I was using the Electro Harmonics Knockout Attack Equalizer to give me a little fatter, tighter bottom end. And there are parts in that I can slap, and there's also a part in it where I do a trill. It's where we hang on an E chord. And I'm doing a trill between a high D and an E, so it's like a rapid fire thing. Again, I'll turn the filter twin on, or a phaser, similar effect. And then I'm trying to think what else. I did use chorus on the Freak for quite a while. I used the phaser or filter for the start of Car Wash. Using L. So again, that's a hammer-on thing. I'm trying to think what else. I used fuzz on Play That Funky Music, but again, I'm not using these effects throughout the song. Very often it will just be a passage or a little fill, like in Play That Funky Music. I'll use it on the I think that's probably it. I'll use a little effect on the little bass vamp in Boogie Oogie Oogie. Yeah, I don't use a lot of effects, but what I do use, certainly in Uncle Funk, is like if there's a little bass motif or a little spot where I might be at the front of the stage, I'll just kick something in just to give it a bit more presence. It just sort of jumps out of the mix a bit. So that's kind of my thing. And I use the drop pedal, obviously. We do Relight My Fire, more like Dan Hartman take that. And we do it in B. And I tend to use a 4-string bass. Could use a 5, but for most of the gig, for all the gigs, I've used a 4. So because I wanted the low note, and I couldn't detune the E string down to a low B, ridiculous. So I use that. So I use that on 3 semitone drop. So I'm playing it in D, but what the people are hearing is it's in B. Another reason for having that pedal. And then I also use the octave effect on that as well. Lewis, if noisy or tone sucking or over compression tends to get replaced on my board, I'm getting good at not buying those things. This is it. If you have the time, the inclination and the funds to be able to buy stuff and get rid of things, if it's not doing what you need it to do. It's a good way. It's very hard now to, it's easier now that we're out of COVID, but obviously during the lockdown, you couldn't go in a shop and try a load of pedals. It wasn't possible. If the effect isn't related to the note, I tend to call those pedals a pair of clean shoes. Enhancing, not transformed. We got Roland for that. Yeah, I'm lost there, but it's fine. I get the general gist. Well done, sir. That's all cool. But yeah, that's kind of how I use effects in Uncle Funk. When I do Queen tributes, although John Deacon never really used any effects, I do use the drop pedal if we've got a singer and we're playing semitone down. I also use the the octave effect on a couple of notes in Who Wants to Live Forever, just to give them a bit more grunt and power. I use a filter twin during Radio Gaga for the section after the second chorus leading up to the third chorus. So it's the effect. So on record, it's like keys and sequencer and stuff. So I use that on the F. And I think, what else? I don't use the D tuner for Fat Bottom Girls. For that, I tune the low E string down to a low D. We play it in D. I don't think I use too many other effects. The only thing would be for like end notes when it's a bit noisy and cymbals are going. I might kick in an octave pedal just to give it a bit more welly. But because John Deacon didn't really use effects, there's not a hell of a lot of need to do it. But I've managed to modify a couple of the pedals I had on my small board to work for that. And then when I do ABBA tributes, there's a couple of sections like in Gimme 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 where you might have a bass thing in the middle. Again, I might turn a filter pedal on or an octave pedal. That's played in low D. I think there was something else, wasn't there? With the ABBA tribute I play with quite often, there's a section after the first finish and we come back on for the encore where bass and drums have a little workout thing. Again, I might turn an effect on just to give it a slightly different sound or just project it out of the norm. But other than that, again, there's not a lot of effect use in ABBA. I might use a bit of chorus if we do one of us, just to thicken it up, because it's kind of fretlessy, but I don't think it was played in a fretless. But it does sound good in a fretless. One of us got a lot of kind of legato notes, so I might sort of favour the back pickup with a bit of chorus. Sounds really good. Lewis, octaves like the Subway or Bass Octavia or something like that. Yeah, I use the octave setting in this, and I use a Boss Octaver, and then I've got the MXR Vintage Bass Octave over there. And I've got the olds. I've got two EBS octaves. I've got a black label, and I've also got the original grey label as well. Sound quite different. So yeah, I've got those sort of things covered as well. For years, an octave pedal and tuner pedal were the only two pedals I had or that I used. I just didn't. I got a lot of mileage out of them, especially the octave pedal. But then for a lot of stuff, then changed band. Didn't have any real need for pedals, and I kind of got sick of turning up to gigs and having no floor space. I literally had like a stamp size space to stand on. There would have been no room for even the smallest pedal board. For years, my tuner pedal sat on the either section of the speaker, my bass speaker, or on top of my amp. Didn't even have it on the floor. But yeah. Okay, it's 10:15 here in the UK. I'm going to give us the 5-minute wrap-up warning unless suddenly there's a big load of chat and questions and comments. Normally what happens when I do the 5-minute sort of roll call, suddenly the chat explodes into liveliness. and we suddenly have like 20 topics going on. So if you lovely people in YouTube land who are watching this live chat, if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to chat about, now's the time to get it in the live chat window. In 5 minutes, so 20 past the hour, if there's nothing going on there, we'll say good night and see you next time. So I'll let you guys make the call on this. So Lewis, I have tons of modulation effects and distortion. We've had this chat, haven't we? There's a lot of things in your pedal chain, but you seem to have worked it all out pretty well and got it sounding how you want it to sound, which is cool. All good. So if I am bringing this chat to a close shortly, thank you very much everyone for attending tonight's live chat. It's been great. Thank you for bearing with me and the channel for a couple of weeks while we dealt with Max's passing. It's definitely been a hard couple of weeks. It's been hard because we had a dog before Max and he died 4 years ago, and we took Max on late in his life. He was 10 when he came to us, and he got to 13 years and 8 months. He would have been 14 on the 1st of June. He would have been equivalent of 100 in UK years if we got to August, but that wasn't to be. And but thank you for sticking with us. I apologize when there are these periods of quiet on the channel and there's not a lot of content going up. Normally it's because I'm either filming or editing or doing graphics stuff and what have you. The past 2 weeks our dog was ill, and I had to give him sort of as much time as possible. And then once he passed by, last week was a write-off. I couldn't concentrate on any work. So thank you. I appreciate it. So what we'll do is I'll have a look in the diary to see when we'll next do another live chat. Might do one next week. Might leave it for 2 weeks. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I've got so much new content to, well, there's loads of it all sat here, edited, ready to go. So it's a case of unleashing all of that and doing the new stuff and getting these lovely Source Audio pedals up and out there. And also going to pick up that new fretless bass. So that will be a new series of videos here on the channel. So join me in my exploits on learning how to play a fretless bass. Doesn't matter that I've got one here in the collection. I've had it for 20 years. There's a new bass coming in specifically to learn how to play fretless without chewing up the fretless fingerboard on my Kabiki Factor over there. So that could well be here in time for the next live chat. So keep watching, and there will be new content going up tomorrow. I really hope I get the merchandise storefront up for tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it will certainly be Thursday, but I'm here all day tomorrow because my car is going off to be serviced and MOT'd, so I won't be going anywhere. So hopefully that'll, in fact, I might well put that into place before I put the bass string experiment video up, so we'll see. Lewis, I'm looking forward to hearing that Source Audio. Both of them. There's two. Yeah, me too. I think you'll enjoy it when I go into the app and start. Well, you'll hear the sounds, and I'll be moving the different control parameters, so you'll be able to hear it firsthand exactly what these pedals can do. They're impressive. The C4 synth, there's a lot going on, so I'm going to try my best to do a good video for that. The MOT, yeah, we have the MV here. Yeah, it's that time of year. Got to get the car ready for all the summer gigs that are coming up. So, yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending tonight's live chat. I really enjoyed it. It's good fun. Thank you. We'll see you possibly next week. If not, it'll be the week after. And keep an eye on the channel for all the new content that's going up. Feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Like the videos. Anything here on the channel. Hit the notification bell so you get notifications when I post up new content, and communicate via the community tab. If you've got any suggestions for anything you'd like to see here on the channel, you can put it in the comments to the videos or put it up on the community tab. And I think we're there. Okay. have a great week. Enjoy what's left of your Tuesday. And thank you for attending tonight's live chat. If you're watching this after the event, the live chat window will close. You won't be able to use that, but by all means communicate via the comments section. You want to ask anything about anything that's been discussed and anything that I've referenced tonight that's already here on the channel, there'll be links in the description box below from tomorrow. On that note, I will let you find people, go and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thank you for attending. I'll see you soon. Take it easy.